All right, so today I'm going to discuss about the question papers that I have set. That was our assessment one in Advanced Web Programming GE. My first question was, explain the role of PHP in a client-server architecture for a dynamic web page with a diagram. All right, so dynamic web page, we all are aware, as I have discussed in the first chapter. Yeah, if you're present there in the classroom, I talked about the difference between static and dynamic web page. In short, let me cut it short. Dynamic web page is a web page where you have some kind of interaction between the front end and the back end, right? Like for example, let's say we have this browser, yeah? So when I type, let's say my name, okay? So, and I click on enter, and then it gives me, yeah, it shows me something, and I click on, okay, so when I write this, yeah, what is this? We are passing a this HTTP request to the server, and the server gives us this, and we're able to see that. Okay, so what is this? This is a dynamic web page. Okay, so now let's do this. Okay, so my question is, what is the role of PHP in a client-server architecture for a dynamic web page with a diagram? So I'll just give you some points. Number one is the role of PHP is handling requests. Second is processing with PHP. And then third is dynamic content generation. And last, response to client. There are so many other role of a PHP in a client-server architecture. You can talk about in the terms of security handling as well. You can talk about in the terms of session and state management. Okay, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you think you can stress about it, okay, you write them down. I am not going to repeat them because I have already done in the class. I'm just, been pointing out the points here. Okay. Now let's go to the next question. What is a variable? And mention at least 4 rules of a variable. Well, what is a variable? A variable is some kind of storage or some kind of a container which you use to store data, yeah, values. Okay, so variable. And in PHP, our variable always starts with this $sign, yeah. And variable can be like, let's say, I have number, yeah, number 1 equals to, let's say 2. And I have another variable, so 3, and I want to perform some kind of operation on here. Say I want to take the sum of these 2. Then I want to display this result. Sum. So this is our PHP syntax, yeah, simple PHP syntax. So what is the question asking? Question is asking, what is a variable? This is a variable, okay? What is the use of variable? Variable uses for storing, right? Like for example, as I have already discussed in the class, I said when you are a kid, you used to see some boxes like this. You used to see boxes like this, yeah? And then you fill in these boxes, yeah. So you set 2 and then 3, yeah. 2 plus 3 is 5, yeah. So now since you're studying a programming, you're going to store these 2 inside some variable. Here we are taking num1 as the variable to store 2 and num2 to store the variable, the value 3, and the operation when you perform these 2, num1 and num2, it's going to be stored in sum. And since we are dealing with a PHP, the variable name should start with $, $, $. Okay, so you can name the variable name as per your choice, as per your um, mm, um, yeah, as per your choice. There are some rules that you have to follow, right? So what are those rules? Those rules are, can I erase this? Right, so the rules are rules for declaring a variable. Number one is it, as I have mentioned just now, it always starts with $sign. Second is it can only contain letters, yeah, numbers, and underscores. No special characters like the rate of, hash, and okay, etc. These are not allowed. Okay, letters, numbers, and underscore, they're possible. Though I said that numbers are okay, but we have to keep in mind that we cannot have this variable name starting with number. Okay, what I mean by is, like, you say you started the variable name with a $sign, and then you cannot have like 1, 2, 3, and a string followed by that. Okay, you can have a number like at the end of this, like let's say apple or whatever, num1, something like that. Like you see here, there is a number, but it is after a letter. Yeah. So third thing is, let's go here. Third thing is they are case sensitive. Yeah, variable names are case sensitive. What do I mean by case sensitive? Okay, so case sensitive means, like here I have used small letters num, num, num1, and suppose by mistake I have replaced small letter n with num. So when I execute it, it's not going to find that num1 is existing in our code. Okay, so it's going to give us error. It has to be the same exactly as I have declared the variable here. Okay, so that's what it means. And number 4 could be the variable name should not be a reserved keywords. Okay, you cannot use reserved keywords to be a variable name. What are reserved keywords? Reserved keywords are like those, yeah, and those which have special meanings within language. Okay, all those things you cannot use them because they are already being defined for some particular purpose. So if you use them, it might mistake, yeah, for some other purpose. So that's the reason why you should avoid using reserved keyword as the variable name. And next, let's go to the next. Yeah, what is an array? Array. What is an array? Array. Okay, so array is also a storage, like a container, but especially meant for storing more number of values, like multiple values in a single variable. When we declare a variable, we are able to store only one value at a time. Now we want multiple number of values to be stored inside our variable. Yeah, so we'll be having, like, let's say this can be any name. Yeah, okay, instead of this array, let's take name fruits. Okay, like this, and we're gonna have this so many fruits name. Like how many we have? So many. Yeah, can contain a lot. Orange, peach, etc. Whatever, we can have multiple number of values inside this. Yeah, so this is an array. And what distinctions, after studying my notes, after listening to my lectures, what distinctions have you figured out from the 2 types of arrays that we have studied? Okay, so for that, you have to look at the 2 types of arrays. What are the 2 types of arrays that we have discussed? The 2 types of arrays were index and associative. Yeah, so index, indexed in index array, we make use of a numeric value to extract these values. Like for example, let's say we are having 3 elements, so we're going to have these 3 blocks, And here we have mango, orange, and peach. Yeah. And every time array indexing starts with 0, 1, 2, and so on. And our fruits, yeah, we're storing it here. And in index the array, if I want to print this first element out, what do is I make use of this and using the index number, I have to print this out. Okay, so if I do this, when I do this, a mango gets extracted from the array list. Yeah, if I want peach, then I have to use the index number of this. It should be 2. Yeah, so this is how we do an indexed array. And in case of associative array, we have to add one more line, extra line, like a key value pair, which we see in Python, a dictionary, you see. So here we're gonna have like key value pair, like let's say instead of using indexing, we're going to have one extra variable name here. Yeah, it will be storing the same thing, but here let's say we'll be having like fruit 1, yeah, and then this would be mango, yeah, and then fruit 2 is what, orange. Fruit 3 is peach. And then when we print it out, instead of using this indexing, since we are now storing this mango inside this fruit 1, yeah, that's called the key, yeah, we're going to print it out using the key. Same thing, it's going to be fruit because the array name is still fruit, and it's going to be fruit 1. If you do this, mango would be extracted. All right, so that's a simple difference. Okay. That's the simple difference. Next is okay, so all right, let's go on ahead with the next question. Next question is define operators and all of its types with a code snippet describing each of these operators. Okay, so operators, what are these operators? Operators are symbols or keywords used to perform operations on variables and values. So in the last class I did num1 plus num2 and I stored it inside a sum. Yeah, so what is the operator here? The operator is this. Okay, so what is this? This is a symbol used to perform operations on, these are variables. Yeah, so there are so many operators which we have discussed in the class. I'm not going to describe them again here in detail, but yeah, I'm just writing this down, how many are there. So many: arithmetic, you have assignment, and then comparison, yeah, logical, and then you have increment, decrement, 6 string, 7 you have array, 8 a conditional, yeah, checking conditions, and then bitwise. Okay, there may be some other more, but I don't think so you need 10 out of 10 from you. And if you mention at least around 6 and giving in detail all of them, 5 is enough. If you give detail about them with the code snippet, I think that's enough to score a mark. And yeah, so this is where most of the people have struggled. The question is, because this is an application-based question, which you will not find it anywhere. If you go back to the concept which I have told in the class, where we have done the iterations, the loop, yeah, there, I think we discussed about, let me just see how many we have discussed. We have discussed about how many times? Okay, there are 4 types of loops that we have discussed. The first one was while loop. Second was do while loop. And third was for loop. And then this for each loop. I'm not going to explain them again. Yeah. Let me read out the question. Says, you have an array of city names and their corresponding populations. The structure of the array is $cities equals to Tokyo, and with the population value, okay, with the value, it's like a key value pair is being given. And what you have to do is look at here, write a PHP script that indicates to the cities and prints each city's name and population in the following format. So how will you print this out? This is the format with which you should print it out. Now, look at the question carefully. What is Mumbai? Mumbai is a city name, right? Mumbai is a city name and 20410. Okay, so what is this? This is a population. Why? How do I know this? Because it says you have an array of a city name and your corresponding population. So that means this is an city name, this means city, and this is a population. So let's just go back to our concept, which we have learned. There are 4 types of loops that we have done: while, do while, for loop, and for each loop. So out of these 4 loops, if you can recall back what I have taught, this is the only loop which have been used for printing arrays, right? Printing out a list, yeah? So this is the one which is applicable for this type of problems. Okay, now the problem what you are facing here, even though you are able to make it out which for loop is going to be applicable here, which loop is going to be applicable here, is because I haven't done any type of problem with you which have two values here, like a key value pair. Yeah, I have done only a list of values, and that it was easy for you to do. Yeah, now this time you're seeing these 2 things like a key value pair. That's why you're getting a little bit confused, but it's very easy. There's nothing new here. So what you have to do is just repeat this thing, yeah, as it is, cities, and you declare all this list, yeah. And after that, you have to parse through all this data, right? So I'm going to start it from there. Once you declare all this, just do this for each, then dollar cities is what you have to parse, right? Cities as now we want to extract 2 values. I cannot just write only city, because if I do only city, it's going to be, you know, it's going to bring me 2 values at a time. I want them to be separated, yeah? So what should I do? I should make it in the format of how it has been given. You see, this is the format. So what is the first, what is the key what is the key here? It would be city, and as it is, you know, arrow, and what is that value? That's a population. Okay. So once you do this, and it's time you have to print it out. How you should print it out? You should print it out equal. This is Mumbai. What is Mumbai? Mumbai is a city name. Now this value, list of values have been stored inside city, this, yeah. So Mumbai is a city, so it should be dollar city. After that has a population of, what is this? 2041, that's a population, right? Dollar population. Okay, and since they're going to be printed in a list, and we want to be printed in a new line, so instead of closing this yet first, use the BR tag so that they got printed in a new line. Then you close this, and since this is a PHP, before declaring these values, you have to start with a PHP tag, right? And you're going to close it here with a PHP tag. Okay, it's simple. You can run this. Okay, first thing, start with this. Second thing, you have to list this list of things. And fourth, you have to parse this. And since you want to be printed, or it to be printed in the form of this, yeah, that's how you have to make it in that form. And then one by one, you can extract the key and the value separately, right? simple. Okay, next. 6, check